Hi children. Okay, so I have something special for you guys. My wife went to Costco this morning and I asked her to pick up this thing called the top sirloin cap. Certain part of the world, in Brazil, it's actually called picanha. Okay, it is actually not very usual for Asian to actually appreciate this kind of meat. Most of the time, ribeye or filet mignon, those are the ones that we typically eat, right? Especially for Asian. And I would like to introduce this to you guys today, okay? And how I actually cook it, okay? All right, so let me explain a little bit what the top sirloin is. It's basically at the top of the butt of the cow, and it's because at the top. So most of the time, they don't really use that piece of muscle, so it's very tender. And the flavor, it's in between filet mignon and ribeye. So because it has a little bit of fat on the very top, so when you cut it, it has that fat, and you have to actually shear that fat, and then combine with the very soft, tender, lean meat at the bottom. So it's really beautiful meat to eat. Okay, like I say, if you go to Brazilian steakhouse, they serve this a lot, and this is actually more like a Brazilian special national steak cut for them. Okay, all right, let's get started. Beautiful cut of meat. Again, this is picanha. Typically, we don't really cook this a lot, especially for Asian. Like I say it multiple times. All right, but it's actually very flavorful. Okay, and it's actually not very expensive compared to ribeye. Ribeye nowadays like what, $9.99 or $10.99 a pound. It depends. And this one, it's only what, $7.49 per pound. It's actually not that bad. In fact, it has that queen of steak name to it. So yeah, but again, only if you know how to appreciate it. Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do right now, I'm just gonna wipe out all this blood and stuff. Just want to try to clean it a little bit. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut it into strip. Okay. And then a special way to actually cut this meat, because when we cook it, so typically when you actually prepare any steak or whatever, you try to cut across the grain, right? You see the grain here, right? Come closer, right? As you can see, this is all the grain. You see how it actually go along this way, right? So typically when you want to eat steak, right, you actually cut like this, right? But for picanha, you actually cut it because you try to cook it with like a strip first. So you cut it actually along the grain like this. You cut it like this, okay? Along the grain like this. Okay, and I'll explain why. Because once after you cut it as a strip, you cook it, and then when you try to serve, then only you cut it this way across the grain, and that's how you actually serve it, piece by piece, and that's how it works. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, now that we wipe off all the blood, what we're gonna do is gonna cut it. Okay. Now I got my chopping board. Okay, let's see. Like I say, when you cut this thing, you cut along the grain. Okay, so I think I'm gonna actually turn it into 3 pieces. So maybe right here first. Okay, 1. Maybe I can do it like this. 2, and then 3 and 4. Like I say, along the grain, okay? Because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna cook it like this, and then when it's ready to serve, then I'll actually cut it this way, okay? All right. Let me do more. Is it enough for tonight, or should we cut both? What you think, Mommy?
It's up to you.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and cut. Okay, simple. All right. Now, what I'm gonna do is very, very simple. I'm gonna dry brine this thing. Okay. I'm gonna dry brine it with just salt, nothing. Very typical traditional Brazilian way. Okay. Don't do anything else. No pepper, no nothing. Basically, just salt. And what I'm gonna use today, it's actually the Himalayan pink salt. Sal the Himalayan. Okay, all right. So again, very simple. Let me get myself a little bit more space. Just a simple dry brine with salt. Nothing else. Don't ruin the flavor. Salt, it's good enough in this case. One. And we're gonna let it sit for like maybe, I don't know, as long as you can. If you can do it like, you know, a couple hours, great. My kids are hungry, so we're probably not gonna do it for too long. And then later on, what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna smoke it a little bit. I'm gonna smoke it until I get the internal temperature to 100, about 110 or 115. And then I'm gonna further cooking it by searing it on the searer. And then when I do that, the internal temperature is gonna get up to 130 something, right? 134, 135, something like that. And that should be perfect, medium rare. And you wanna eat it medium rare. In fact, actually for this cut of meat, you can actually cook it a little bit higher. If you don't want it too rare, you can cook it a bit higher because it's really tender. So it's not gonna really turn too tough, too rubbery, okay? All right, so now that I have one done, let me continue to do the second one. Okay, bring it over, switch position. I'm kind of OCD as you can see, right? I want everything kind of organized. That's me. In case you don't know what dry brine is, basically just put salt and let it seep. That's really what it is, you know. Let it age a little bit. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. So what happened is when you actually put salt on the meat and let it sit, it's kind of like the osmosis, reverse osmosis process, because of the concentration of the salt on the outside. The flavor is actually gonna, you know, penetrate into the meat if you let it sit. The longer you let it sit, the better. Okay, and then also with the salt, it's gonna dry the surface a little bit, so that way, you know, when you cook it, it's actually more crispy, right, on the outside. So it's a very simple idea, but it works. Okay, we're not gonna do any sous vide today. As you guys probably know, I love sous vide, but in this, I'm gonna get the smoke flavor, and because it's actually pretty tender, so I don't really need to actually do any sous vide methods. Just smoke it until the internal temperature 110, 115, and then take it out, sear it, let it sit for 5 minutes, and enjoy it. I'll be back. All right, it has been dry brine for about what, 4 to 6:30 now. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes. As you can see, right, a lot of fluid actually come out, right? That's you know, part of the purpose of the dry brine. It's actually get the surface, and you can see the surface is kind of dry. That's exactly what we want, because the salt will actually extract the moisture out of it. Okay, now it's basically ready for smoke. All right, let's go. All right, let's put it on. smoker is actually set at 225 degree. So I would like to actually put the temperature probe in there, internal temperature, so I can monitor it. What the temperature I'm looking for is actually 115. Okay, all right, after about 30, I think it's 45 minutes later. Okay, the temperature now it's 118, a little bit higher, but that's fine. Also, can you see? Okay, perfect. Also, because I put the temperature probe in the basically one of the thicker meat, so the rest of those smaller one probably is gonna be about 120, 125, which is actually perfect. Okay, all right, let's grab this. Now it's ready, right? So let's get all this out. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna sear it, okay? Like I say, the best part of the picanha is actually the fat. That fat is to die for. But in order for it to be good, you have to. In order for it to be good, you have to sear it. Just like anything, fat with heat is gonna turn into deliciousness. Okay, let's go. Let's come over here and sear it. Okay, got the searer ready. It's red hot. It's ready to go. Crank it all the way up because all we need is basically just to get the fat to crisp it up. All right, let's go in. Good. Don't want to be too greedy. Get it seared. Oh yeah, that's good. Get the fat. Gotta get the fat. See, this is what you want, okay? And you don't want to sear it for too long because then you don't want the meat to continue cook for too long and then end up actually overcooked. Because I'm a medium rare kind of guy. Our whole family is medium rare, so I think this is ready. Okay, let's drop more in. Looking good. There goes the fat. Yeah. There we go. Sear. Sear. Okay, check this out. Wow, how's that, huh? Look at this thing. Just finished searing it. Look at the fat. This is really what we're looking for, okay? Really what we're looking for. Oh my God, check that out. Woo-wee. Smells so good. It's properly smoked. Look at the color. Oh my God. Yes, yes. Okay, so let it set for sit for like 5 minutes. You don't want the juice to come out as soon as you cut it. So right now, just let it sit so that the juice will actually get sucked back into it, contained in there. Then later on, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, then we'll cut the first one. We enjoy. Okay? Alright then. Okay, it's time. We actually waited, let it sit for like 7 to 10 minutes. I don't know. So let's try it out. Okay, let's take this piece right here and let's give it a try. Check this out. Beautiful. Oh my god. Woo-wee! This is how you eat picanha. Remember I say that you have to, when you cut this for cooking, you have to cut it along the grain, because when you serve, you cut it this way, and then now is across the grain. Okay? Alright, take one piece, go ahead. Tell me how it tastes. You have to eat it together with the fat though, right?
Good.
Is it good? Is it good?
Really tender.
There you go. Alright, everybody say picanha.
Picanha.